I heard a previous YouTube post from you saying that ultimately the separate self falls away after we fall in love with it completely. What I've been trying to do is see the separate self as separate, which is ironic since it's the separate self doing that. But how can one fall in love with that which separates us from knowing life as it really is, or reality, the enlightened, the absolute, whatever you want to call it? Although there may not be a me that hasn't seen, and that energy is still very much in seeking aggressively, but it's glaringly obvious that no strategy to stop it works. But, you know, that's a story you're telling yourself also, that no strategy will stop it. So you think that you've come to a new statement that's more truer, but it's not. It's just the opposite to a strategy will stop it. So when I said that statement before about falling in love with itself, I meant presence is love. And really, I mean, I might have said it in decorative words and made it sound like you have to fall in love with yourself as a separate person. It's actually, as that begins to become more obvious, then there is this falling back in love with everything, including the person. But it's because it's moving to that love. But fuck it, you can also say the person falls in love with the person. I mean, you can say this 1,000 infinite different ways. And I can say this and I can say that, and I sometimes say this and I sometimes say that. It doesn't matter. What matters is what is. And I recommend that when you're suffering and you feel separate and that separate energy is going crazy looking for something, rather than trying to find an answer in what you think, just move the attention. So the separate person moves the attention into the sensations and into the body and explores on a bodily level. And this isn't going to get you to enlightenment, because there's no you that gets to enlightenment. But this is much better than sitting there going mentally crazy for ages, suffering about something. Just allow that energy to come up in the body. That's why the mind is going so crazy, is because some reason there's been a big activation of discomfort in the body. There's a big pain in the body, and the mind is trying so hard not to feel it that it's telling itself these infinite stories that's actually increasing the physical discomfort. So, well, you feel like that, and that's only when you feel like that. And I'm not saying that you can get yourself to enlightenment and that person's going to get enlightened, because there is no person. But while you feel like that, I strongly recommend that you explore what hurts. And then ultimately, eventually, when you stop running so hard, it will be seen that there is nobody that hurts. But when you're running mentally all the time, you really believe there's somebody that's hurting. And the more that it's explored by nobody, it's seen there was no one ever exploring. Because even that separate I that explores doesn't really, or doesn't exist. Don't let yourself get stuck in all this mental stuff, thinking you know something about something. None of us do. We just are. That's it. Our suffering comes from the beliefs that we know something. We know who we are. We know where we are. We know what we're doing. We know why we're alive. It's all bullshit. There is only this. And fools, teachers, gurus speak about this, and hopefully they constantly contradict themselves and say that nothing is true. The truth is, what you think can be one thing or the other, because thinking is an opposite. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be right, it can be wrong. And you'll never ever decide. You'll never say, this is right and that's final. Your mind will always come up with different ideas and look at it from this side and that side, because there is no final in thought. Thought just goes on endlessly. The final is right here, in this, in what's happening. this radical aliveness. And don't spend days bullshitting yourself about this story you're telling me now. It won't end. Honestly, it won't. I know this, I know that. There is no way to stop it that works. You just heard someone else saying it and now you're repeating it. Don't get stuck there. Here, this is what is. I met so many people. Non-duality, for some reason, maybe because I was so stupid, I just carried on with non-duality. But so many people, when they begin to hear that sort of thing, they just give up. Oh, there's no point, I can't get there, I can't be this, it's not for me, I'm not going to get anything, it's hopeless. And then they're off, and that's just not true. Non-duality isn't a set teaching. Non-duality is a response to a conditioned way of thinking. So it's always changing the way we express non-duality because it's a response to something that believes it's true. But that response cannot be a fixed way because there is no fixed truth in words. The truth is where these sounds are coming from and where they disappear into. The truth is the looking, the hearing, the feeling, the experience itself. And that experience is and isn't. It's empty and full. And it's perceiving itself so intimately. And it's absolutely in love with itself. Thanks, Erica, for the question.